Hello and welcome, students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. So let's begin with today's class. In today's class, we are going to study about another natural disasters, that is famine. Now, as you can see in the picture, there is a land which is fully dried up, right? So this is the scenes during the time of famine. So during the time of famine, the situation is such that there is no food for the people. Why this situation has happened? Let's see in this chapter. So basically, famine is a situation in which large number of people have little or no food and many of them die. What happens during this famine situation is that the people do not get enough food. So let's see what famine is. Scanty rainfall leads to the drying up of the groundwater and storage of food and water. So basically, what happens during famine? Because of scanty rainfall, the groundwater is completely dried, and there is a shortage of food and water. So when there is no water, it is obvious that we cannot grow crops or any other plants. This condition is known as famine. So when this type of situation comes, it is called as famine. That when there is no water because of drying up or because of less rainfall, and the food, there is a shortage of food, and this condition is known as famine. The condition of famine occurs in a case of scanty rainfall or no rainfall for 2 or 3 successively. So when this famine occurs, when there is no rainfall at all for continuous 2 to 3 years, the possibility of famine is less if we plant more trees. So how can we save from coming into this situation? So we can save by planting more trees. So if we'll plant more trees, there will be more rainfall and there will never be a shortage of food or water, right? So we should always plant more and more trees so that the water level in our rivers and groundwater gets increasing and the possibility of famine becomes very less, right? Now our next natural disaster is cyclone. The simple meaning of cyclone is air which blows at a great speed. So when is cyclone occur? What is cyclone? What happens during cyclone is basically when there is a very huge amount of air flowing in the atmosphere. It can be called a storm or whirlwind. The coastal areas of India experiences cyclone every year. So this coastal area of India experiences cyclone every year, and the eastern coast especially experiences it every year. Which area? The eastern coast experiences the cyclone every year. The adjacent regions also feel the effects of cyclone, and the regions which are nearby the coastal areas also experience the cyclone. That is, the amount of wind is very high in the area where there is sea, and because of that, wind is called as cyclone. However, this wind affects a limited area for a limited period of time only. This winds does not come in whole of our India, but it comes in a particular area and for a particular time. So you can see the pictures over here that the trees are falling. Sometimes the buildings may also fall, the buildings which are near the coastal areas, and trees are falling, right? So you can see these pictures, and the amount of wind is so high that it is very difficult to control, although it comes for a very few minutes, but it can disrupt many people's lives. So we have already did many disasters. We'll do a quick revision of these disasters, right? So the first disaster which we did was earthquake. So basically the earthquake occurs when there is a tremendous pressure from inside the earth and there is a collision of plates, or due to tremendous pressure from the interior of the earth, and in this destruction many people's life can be gone, right? So many people are in danger if there is a earthquake. Then another one was volcanoes, right? So volcanoes is also an disaster which has happened because of the destruction in the earth's crust, and in this volcano mostly it happens in the structures like mountains and hills, right? And it comes out from the openings of mountain, and from this mountains the lava, rock and ashes are coming out. But the important thing and the plus point about the volcano is that after volcano, when the lava is been cooled down, that land it becomes very fertile and it gives more production of grains, food grains and all, right? So that is one plus point, that in the place where volcanoes occur, that land becomes fertile. Then another thing which we did was the tsunami is almost like earthquake, but earthquake is caused when there is an disturbance in the land's crust, earth's crust, and tsunami is caused when there is a destruction or when the sea floor, right, when the sea floor is disturbed, at that time tsunami has been occurred. And during the tsunami the waves in the sea becomes very tall, and there are chances that the water comes out of the sea and it can destruct many lives, and that water is in such a speed and it goes in a very long distance, so you cannot assume or you cannot forecast when a tsunami is going to come. It mostly occurs like when you don't even know when it comes and goes. For a few seconds tsunami comes and can destruct a very huge amount of land and people. Then the next thing was flood is often caused when there is a very excess of rainfall, or when the flow in the river is very high, and that thing is flood. That is called as flood is occurred basically because of two reasons. One is heavy rainfall, and the second is if the dams of the river breaks, flood is occurred in the low lying area, that is the river bank can cause the flood. Then the natural disaster which we did was famine. Famine is basically a situation when there is a shortage of rainfall because there is shortage of food because there is no rainfall from continuous 2 or 3 years. If there is no rainfall, the situation of famine comes, but we can overcome the situation if we plant more and more trees. Then the last natural disaster which we did is cyclone. Cyclone is basically a very huge or high amount of wind blowing in a very great speed, and this thing comes mostly in the coastal areas, and in our India, the coastal areas of India experiences cyclone every year, right? And this wind affects a limited area for a limited period of time. So the winds does not blow or does not come in many parts, but it comes in a limited area and for a limited time period. And you can also see the pictures over here. I told you that these are the scenes of cyclone, after cyclone, and this is the scene of the cyclone. When cyclone is occur, you can see many trees fall down, many buildings fall down, right? The amount of wind is so high. Okay, so here we are going to stop with the chapter. We'll continue the chapter in the next class. Thank you.